thank you very much for the Academy. Okay, so today I'd like to talk about the robot culture in Japan, and I'd like to link robot with spirituality in Japan. So let's go. So this is today's my talk. At first, I'd like to talk about the contemporary situation of healthcare using robots. And next, I'd like to talk about the future vision of Japanese roboticist engineers. And then I'd like to link robots with Shintoism. And let's have discussion and conclusion. Okay, let's go. So, as you know, maybe, we already started to use robots in healthcare field. This is a seed robot, Palo. It looks very pretty, mignon or kawaii. So some patient dementia touch these kind of robots and they get better. And of course, there are so many users having this pet robot as pet itself. And this is Pepper, the humanoid robot, in the elderly care house. And this is the exoskeleton suits. This is Haru. So this robot supports the patient who cannot use their legs. And this robot can detect biopotentials on the surface of the skin. So this robot can control without manipulation, just will. And of course, this kind of exoskeleton suits is used for caregiver. And these are Aibo, pet robot in elderly care house. So nowadays there are so many facilities where they introduce robots as companion or friend or caregiver. So this is Sherry Taku's famous book, Alone Together, and she quoted the words of 10 years girls. Some girls said that, don't we have people for these jobs? She looked these kind of pet robot in elderly care house. So, is robot best way to give care? So this kind of talk or discussion is not matured in Japan, but they easily accept robots. So maybe you will be interested in these kind of questions. Why Japanese don't fear robots? And to what extent will Japanese accept robot technology in healthcare? So in the last part, we'll come back these questions. So second, the future vision of Japanese roboticists. So in fact, from Edo era, the Japanese has loved human-like artifacts. These are bunraku and karakuri. It seems that they have enjoyed animating things. Of course, this kind of tradition is active in Japan. So many engineers try to develop Android now in Japan, and the government support them. I'd like to show you academic roadmap of Japanese engineers. This roadmap was established in 3 associations, the Robotics Society of Japan and the Japanese Society for AI and the Japan Ergonomics Society. And this roadmap was, of course, supported by MECHI, the Ministry of Economics, Trade and Industry. So they say that they will realize self-reference or self-evaluation or self-restoration system, like human beings. And they, of course, they would like to realize cognitive development system as babies. So they think that robots, human being like experience to, how to say, grow robots as pet or their own children. And comprehension of human objective and intention. So maybe in the near future, robots have intersubjectivity with human being. And autonomy. They think that they can realize development of robots' ability of self-decided action without outer command. So maybe they would like to realize the machine Descartes. And brain-machine interface is, of course, important. Already, Japanese brain-machine interface technology can manipulate ASIMO without handling, just using this device. And artificial body organs and wet robots. So their desire is intended to real human beings. And they wanted to realize community-assisted robots and intellectualize space. So in near future, all the artifacts would be a robot. So of course, if we develop the robotics, social ethical problems will happen. So for example, ascription of responsibility, new type of private information, educational effect on people, or a state of robots in our society, or human enhancement. This kind of argument is not, discussion is not matured now. So yeah, for what purpose do they use for the robots? In fact, Japan has experiments of economical success in 1970s and 1918s, and they developed industrial robots, and they have accumulation of basic technology of robotics. So they really want to use them. They don't want to eradicate such basic technologies. And of course, they hope selling robots as selling automobile. So they really wanted a new reason so for robots. In such a situation, they rush into healthcare field. Why? There is a big problem, social problem in Japan, falling birth rate and aging population. These are the near future events in Japan. 2020, half of female population will be more than 50 years old. 21, a lot of separated employer because there will be a lot of separated employer because of nursing care for their family. And 33% of population will be more than 65 years old. And 25, population shrinking will start even in Tokyo. And 26, the population of dementia will get over 7 million. And 27, blood for transfusion will be scarce, etc., etc., etc. So we have serious social problem. So maybe the workforce is necessary for caring in Japan. So this is very famous robotician Inoue's words. So roboticians think that as younger people get their mobile freedom with having automobile, elder people will get their freedom of action with having humanoid in domestic area. So as you see that there was 2 reasons why the roboticians rushed into healthcare field. One, economical problem of maintaining the basic technologies of robotics and evolving them. And second, the social problem of falling birth rate and aging population. These are the main reasons. Okay. So next, we'd like to talk about Shintoism. By the way, do you like sushi? Maybe you like sushi. In near future, maybe you will come to Japan. I'd like to talk about Kanazawa, where I live. So here is Kanazawa, and this city is very famous in sushi. There is old castle in the center of the city, and especially in winter, the taste of fish is very good in the city. And near the castle ruin, you will find the oldest Shinto shrine, Ishiura Shrine in Kanazawa. And if you come to this shrine, you will find this one. What is this? This is sushi grave. So this is a monument for life, such as fish and shellfish and rice. So in Kanazawa, there are so many sushi cookers, and once in a year, they gathered in front of this monument and expressed their thankfulness for life. Yeah. And also, you will find this one. What is this? This is knife grave. What is knife grave? So cookers uses knife for long, and they feel the knife is companion of the cookers. So they try to make funeral ceremony for knife. This is called monokuyo or monosogi in Japan. And it's very general. This is monokuyo for dolls. Dolls, funeral ceremony of dolls are very popular in Japan. How about robots? After stopping producing the Aibo produced by Sony, after 2006, the Sony stops after service care. So the Aibo stopped. So many users get very, feel sad. So they would like to do funeral ceremony. So Japanese can see and feel souls for things as well as creatures. This is tradition. So what kind of tradition? This kind of mindset came from Shintoism. So Shintoism, what is Shintoism? That is traditional religion in Japan, and nobody knows when it started. The world view of Shintoism was first written in Kojiki, and the Kojiki was compiled in AD 712. And it's a kind of history book ranging from the beginning of the universe to the era of 33rd emperor. And what is a characteristic of Shintoism? That is psychomorphism. Not anthropomorphism, psychomorphism. So this is a very famous story in Kojiki. Two male and female gods made our countries. But in fact, before the personal deity come into being, there is a long history of impersonal deities. So in Shintoism, God didn't make universe because the God is the spirit of the universe. So the universe spontaneously exists. And at the same time, the Ama-no-Minaka-nushi, the first god, appeared. And this Ama-no-Minaka-nushi deified the two competencies which were separated from the deity itself, and Takami-musubi and Kami-musubi, the force of expansion and the force of centering. These two conflicting forces gave dynamics in universe. And the Takami-musubi create the two kind of souls, Ara-mitama and Kushi-mitama. Ara-mitama means the soul of courage, and Kushi-mitama means the soul of intelligence. And the Kami-musubi, the force of centering, made the two kinds of souls, Nigi-mitama and Saki-mitama, the soul of fraternity and the soul of love. And then Ama-no-Minaka-nushi got the body, three elements, the body of flute and the soft body and the rigid body. So in Shintoism, every material in the universe composed of these three elements, and each has its own mixing rate of the three elements. So this is the cosmology of Shintoism: three elements, four souls, and eight forces. The three elements combined are combined with souls, four souls, and they made the eight forces: motion and stillness, and agglomeration and diffusion, and tension and laxity, and fission and fusion. So 8 kind of forces. And these three elements, 4 souls and 8 forces, was the trigger of creation and proliferation in the cosmos. So in Shintoism, every kind of things have its own souls. And the old prayer, Ooharae-no-kotoba, says that in the divine era, as well as animals or plants, even inorganic substances could have verbal competence: rocks, mountains, rivers, and the sea. So this is Miyazaki Hayao's Mononoke Hime. He tried to express the souls of trees like this nymph. So what is human being in Shintoism? Of course, human being is also composed of 3 elements and 4 souls. And by grace of Ara-mitama, people can take a decision and act bravely, and sometimes suffer through difficulty. And by grace of Kushi-mitama, people can get interested in something and learn from nature and neighbors and increase knowledge. And by grace of Nigi-mitama, people can live in harmony with neighbors and conduct the affair of state, politics. And by grace of Saki-mitama, people can love their partner and children and families. But sometimes we lose the balance of 4 souls. runaway of one among the four souls leads bad things. So Ara-mitama, the runaway of Ara-mitama leads to battle. Runaway of Kushi-mitama leads to derangement. And runaway of Nigi-mitama leads to enmity. And runaway Saki-mitama leads to rebellion. So how to prevent this imbalance? In Shintoism, says that in the universe, only human being is given a spirit, which is divided from Ama-no-Minakanushi, the first god. So only human beings has one spirit and four souls. The materials has just four souls, but only human beings have spirit. And that is divided from the Lord. So that is, the name is Naohi, and Naohi's function is reflection. And if we could keep the Naohi work well, then the balance of the four souls is maintained. And the human being is also expected to maintain balance of the four souls in the nature. So, if we want to know our own mission, in Japanese, kotoyozashi, from the Lord, we should pray for our own mind, and we should keep our Naohi function well. So, how can we keep it function well? By purification. So, keeping our body healthy and clean is very important in Shintoism. And Naohi and Ama-no-Minakanushi, the Lord, are like mirrors set facing each other. And if you keep your body innocent, then you can catch the message from the Lord. So if we, this kind of mindset is in Japanese people, then how do they make robot culture? So the verbal competence was sealed by a human-like god, Nigi-no-mikoto, who was the ancestor of the Japanese emperor family. But the paradise, everything can communicate each verbal with verbal competence. This kind of paradise image was resonant again and again in Japanese literature, waka or haiku, the poem, and of course in modern literature. Kenji Miyazawa is a very important person to understand Shintoistic view. So, when Japanese people encounter speaking object, then they have a feeling of nostalgia, because the old mythology says that we could have verbal communication with all things in the world. So now the high technology, the newest technology, break the seal. So they accept the speaking object like robot. So maybe we may construct a techno-animistic world to the semblance of the situation in ancient times. So this is Society 5.0. You can find this image in Cabinet Office, homepage of Cabinet Office in Japan. Okay. Then how about transhumanism? Will we change or transform our body with robotic technology? Anticipatory attitude, Japanese will refuse to substitute robotic body for natural body. Why? the body is a kind of shrine to enshrine our own spirit, Naohi. So we should always keep it cleansed and purified to make the spirit go well. So for example, this is HAL. This is the exoskeleton robot, and to support the ALS patients. And this technology is non-invasive. This is very important. They don't use brain-machine interface. Maybe subconsciously, the Professor Sankai, he knows that the non-invasive is more acceptable for Japanese people. Okay. So, at last, but maybe for roboticians, Japan is the best place to develop the robotics because most of citizens don't have fear for speaking object. But psychomorphism have a bad side, dark side. So this is Fukushima nuclear disaster. Before the accident, the elite engineers said that the technology of nuclear power plant is 100% safe. So we don't need any more measure for safety. But after the accident, they said that was beyond the scope of assumption. And they avoid their responsibility. So this attitude is like I would say, the people encounters the natural disaster, like eruption of volcano. So if they try to do best, but accident happened, then they think that the nuclear plant wants to go out of control. So their brain is freezed. This kind of mindset is very difficult, not good. And in a distant future, maybe they say again beyond the scope of assumption when the robots will make rebellion. So they are not good at imagining the worst. Why? Thinking the worst is impurification of their mind. So if they want a good robot, they don't think bad things. This is a mindset of Japanese. Okay, so let's sum up my talk. Question 1, why Japanese don't fear robots? Because they dwell in the framework of Shintoism and they believe subconsciously that every material has its own mind. And the people who can believe even stones and mountains have mind easily believe that human-like robots have mind without any fear. And they have old mythologem Kojiki, and which says that in old divine era, human being could have verbal communication with things such as stones, mountains, rivers, plants, and animals. This original image of coexistence and co-prosperity makes robots comfortable for Japanese. That is why we find feeling of nostalgia when we meet speaking object in our life world. Question 2, to what extent will Japanese accept robot technology in healthcare? By grace of Shintoism, Japanese would not have much uncomfortable feeling to accept robots as pets, friends, or partners. But they will hesitate very much to use robot technology for transforming their own body. The reason is that they should purify their own body to enshrine their spirit, divided from the Lord. So keeping our body healthy and purified is necessary to make our spirit function well. The essence of Shintoism is to have a dialogue with our own spirit and accept missions from the Lord. So, if they accept mechanical parts in their body, then they accumulate impurity and let their spirit waken, and with leading to the imbalance of the four souls. That means they cut down the way to the Lord. So we can anticipate that Japanese will have very conservative attitude against transhumanism. Thank you very much.